everybody. We are live. Ugh. I haven't done one of these in such a long time. Ladies and gents, my name is Tom Thompson, aka Cortex Zero, and you are watching Anomalous live. For the first time in a very, very, very long time, I am so grateful, so appreciative to be here again. Digby was going to join me today, but he has been very, very busy, and I'll open with all of that very quickly. Where's the show been? What have we been doing? I mean, a lot of you follow me on X and on YouTube, so you see me on the daily, you know I'm out here doing things, but what happened to the live show? Digby has been working on a massive documentary film about digital ID. This is a UK-based situation, but as we've spoken about before, we do believe that this is an issue that's going to very likely bleed out into the rest of the Western world and in modern countries. A situation that I am very concerned about, Digby is very concerned about, and thus he decided to dedicate most of his time to that issue, especially because it is growing in his home country. It is basically the testing ground for this system that could potentially throw all of us into a sort of digital prison. Now, I'm not going to spend the whole show obviously talking about that because this is a UFO-centric live stream, but we need your support, we need your help to make this documentary a reality. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Digby has been working tirelessly to get this done. My efforts are a little bit different. I'm trying to get in contact with different political representatives, officials, etc., names that we would know over here in the United States that also have a vested interest in this issue, and thus this is a project that will be done when it's done. There is no set date. It's going to be finished when it's right, and we have everything in place. We have some really amazing people helping us behind the scenes with this that have decided to essentially donate their time for free because they also believe that this issue deserves very serious attention. There will be more information about that over the coming weeks. Digby has a GoFundMe page that I will link to. I'll post the link on my X after the show. And we would greatly appreciate any assistance in making this a reality because we feel that time is running out on this particular issue. That being said, the UFO world is obviously buzzing right now. There is so much going on. I'm really flying by the seat of my pants today. It's just me. I have notes that I put together. It's going to be pretty casual and laid back as opposed to anything super structured. There are things that I want to get to, obviously. However, I also wanted to open the show and spend some time kind of going over my perspective on everything that's been happening. Because there's a lot. The file release from the United States government. Low-hanging fruit, as Representative Burleson called it, but nonetheless a release. And there's, of course, a lot of negativity that comes along with any step along this road of disclosure. It's a chaotic and volatile subject, as we all know. It has been for a very long time. Things started really changing around 2017 when the New York Times article dropped. And that really set off what I would consider now the modern UFO era that we find ourselves in. I have said this a few other times. I also stressed this when the Age of Disclosure came out. There is a silver lining to all of this, and I want to stress that. Everyone here has an opinion, everyone has a perspective, but a lot of times people feel, I think, encouraged to fall in line with what they're seeing everybody else say. And maybe it influences their opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we all go through that. But I'm not afraid to be very clear and very honest about my feelings as far as disclosure, any of this goes. I want my perspective to be mine and be genuine, and I'm not worried about what other people are saying or thinking about it. I respect it. But when I feel something very strongly internally, I want to make sure that that comes out, and I want to share it with all of you. Over the last few months especially, even the last few weeks, we've seen a number of genuinely positive developments in this push for disclosure. We have members of Congress who are continuing to apply pressure. We have renewed attention on classified videos and old files, whistleblower claims. Foreign governments are paying closer attention now. As you saw, I made a post about Japan. They seem like they want to fall in line with whatever the United States chooses to do on this issue. And public officials are definitely being a lot more direct than they used to be in the past. And is it perfect? No. Is it fast enough? Hell no, it's not fast enough. I'm as impatient as all of you. I really am. I'm gritting my teeth half the time. I assure you that I am. But I don't think we should ignore the fact that the conversation has significantly moved down the road from where it used to be. The center of gravity has absolutely shifted. And things that would have sounded outrageous 10 or even 5 years ago are now being discussed by elected officials, journalists, military personnel, scientists, astronomers. They're all getting in on the conversation. And even ordinary people on the street in everyday life, they're becoming much more active in this conversation in a much more serious way than ever before. And that is what we all wanted to begin with. It's everything that we've been working for. So I wanted to relay to all of you that even when things seem kind of grim and dark and difficult, and all of the memes that pop up, oh, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. There is a positive message hidden underneath all of that. There really is. It's been said so many times by so many different people that I think most of us respect and hold in a high regard, that disclosure is a marathon and not a sprint. Well, if that's the case, then logically, yes, the next step is always going to be 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away, because it's a process, it's not an event. And that is exactly how this has been unfolding over the last few years. Now, is it frustrating for people who are really well read on this? Absolutely. Because we're in our own tight-knit group and community. Those of us that are actually researchers, that spend a significant amount of our daily lives dedicated to the subject of anomalous phenomena. Myself being one of them. There are many people that can name just about any case, give you the year, the people involved, the details. Not everybody's like that. There are different groups of people here. So for us, when we already know that there's a hybridization program going on, or what seems to be, when we are already aware of the Nordics and the Mantids and all of these other really extraordinary claims that are being spoken about now in a much more mainstream setting than ever before. Come on. This has never happened in the history of the world. It has never gone down like this. Active members of the United States government in hearings talking about the Greys. That's new. We've never had that happen before. The people like me, other researchers, Pavel, Red Panda, Digby. I mean, there's so many amazing people out here. Meredith from Maze to Metanoia, who I'm going to be doing an interview with pretty soon. Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp. I'm just throwing names out there. People who are distinctly involved in this. Like, this is what we do. Our names are attached to it. Exo-academian. Like, there's so many people that I can think of off the top of my head. We're the ones that, because we have already been saturated with this information, that's when we get frustrated seeing these things pop up little by little. But I, for some reason, have been able to apply a certain level of patience to all of this. I really have. Now, the ordinary person, the individual who has not really studied this subject, or maybe they're at least open-minded, or even closed-minded, hell, the people that just don't even give a damn about any of this. Once this information hits their ears, they have to process it. So, like, we're already done. We have already processed this. Some of us are experiencers. So we have a completely different perspective on this subject than a very large portion of the population. I have shared my experiences on a couple different shows in detail. I was on with Dale when I'm trying to think when it was at this point. I mean, I think it was last year that I was on with Dale, who observer of anomalous objects. Great guy, just an amazing guy. One of the most genuine, down-to-earth, warm people that you could ever interact with. I went into detail about my experiences with him. And after doing that show, it really dawned on me how different my perspective is compared to a lot of other people. Because there are many of you out here who are obsessed with the subject, diligent researchers, working tirelessly to try to figure this out, to get the news out, to share the word. Like UAP James is a good example, always sharing video clips on the daily. Billy, who does the video analysis. Astral, always sharing something. And whether it might be a meme, it might be something serious, but Astral is always on top of things. Shout out, man. Love you, dude. I am different from even some of them. Not everyone is an experiencer. Now, some of them are, but there are a number of amazing researchers in this field that at most, maybe they've seen a UFO like once or twice, or maybe not at all. There are a few that have just never even had an experience, but they're fascinated by the subject. There are levels to this, is basically what I'm trying to get at here. There are levels to the different groups of people. So everybody's going to have a very specific reaction when new information gets shared. Now, if you've heard it before, obviously it's just reaffirmation of what you already knew. But if you have never been exposed to it before, if you never heard about the Nordics or any of that, try putting yourself in the shoes of someone that has never seen any of that material before, ever. Like, you sort of heard of Roswell, maybe. And that's like about it. You don't really know much of anything else. It's a completely different mindset to be in. So I want to just stress to you guys that even though sometimes it can really feel like we're just kind of going around the merry-go-round here. Here we are. We're stopping at this particular fork in the road again, and then we're going to take a left, and here we're going to do a loop. We really are making progress. You have to look at it from a very specific perspective. Drown out the noise. And if you make a list of positives, you begin to realize that list is getting much, much longer by the day. Things are really ramping up now. So I want to do a quick check and pop into the chat. Kill the Stigma podcast. How are you? He said we're screwed. Hit me up if you need a co-host. Appreciate that. I would like to bring in some guest co-hosts as I do the show over the next few months. I would definitely like to have some people like guest stars, so that would be really, really, really cool. Who else is in here? Kiwi DJ. Good afternoon. Northeast Florida. Woo Riders. I like that name. How are you? Good to see you back doing live streams from Thames CFC. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. That's the other thing too. I want you guys to understand like just how much this community means to me too. You guys are amazing. Like when I'm at my day job, which you guys know, you guys know how much I fucking hate my day job. It sucks. Being able to go on my phone even and just interact with people through comments and to see people having nice things to say about, you know, maybe something that I made artwork wise or video content wise, it gets me through my day. It really does. I love you guys very seriously. So thank you so much. All right. So I want to get to the first, I guess, news story really that happened this week. And I'll tell you what, this really pissed me off. It really pissed me off. It got me pretty hot. Dr. Beatriz Villarreal. I, on many occasions, have referred to Dr. Villarreal as a rock star. To me, she is exactly what every child should aspire to be if they want to become an astronomer, a scientist. That's who you should model yourself after. An open-minded and yet rationally grounded individual. Highly intelligent. Super polite. I mean, she has impressed me since day one when I found out who she was and the Vasco work. I mean, it is some of the best scientific evidence that we have in the UFO field in modern times. And yet, you still have these cowards, these spineless bastards that have decided to drag her work and her name through the mud. Fitting, isn't it? She does everything the right way. She goes about it in the exact way that these people have been begging for, that they accuse the UFO community of not abiding by. She goes and she does that to a T. Submits her work for peer review. And what do? They start making cartoons about her. They essentially digitally sexually harass her. They drag everything that she's been doing through the mud. And they even went as far as introducing bad, disingenuous, false data into the conversation to try to discredit her and her team. That's amazing. You can disagree with someone's interpretation. You can challenge their data. You can argue that they missed something. That's fine. That's fine. You can say, I think there is another explanation here. That is not only acceptable, that is how science is supposed to work. But harassment is not science. Sexism is not skepticism. Character assassination is not peer review. Fake sexualized pages using a scientist's name or identity, also not criticism. It's cowardly. And attempting to poison the conversation with bad information and data, not in the pursuit of truth, but as a weapon against someone else's work. That is not only completely and utterly unprofessional, but it is a fucking disgrace. That's exactly what it is. I don't want to curse too much, but when I get a little riled up, it's definitely going to come out. So I apologize to anybody that doesn't like that type of language. I don't mean to offend you, but fuck these people. I'm sorry. I mean it. This is where there needs to be a red line. Her research may ultimately be interpreted in numerous ways by numerous people. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's done in good faith. That's healthy. But the work itself is serious enough to deserve serious treatment. And we're talking about archival astronomical correlations, archival astronomical plates from the pre-Sputnik era. transient objects or flashes that appear and disappear. So this is before we had satellites in orbit around the Earth. We had nothing up there. And then you have the possible correlations with nuclear testing along with UFO reports. That's incredible data. Incredible bleed over. And some of the proposed interpretations are extraordinary, to say the least. But the correct response to extraordinary data is rigorous analysis, not harassment. And this is the part that people really need to understand. The question is not simply, did somebody find UFOs in old photographs? That is the cartoon version, the jello brain version of the conversation. The deeper question is whether these old astronomical records contain physical signatures that do not fit comfortably into the explanations we already have. If some of these objects or flashes behaved like reflections from flat, shiny, possibly metallic surfaces before humanity officially placed satellites into orbit, don't you think that deserves some sort of attention? Isn't that what science is supposed to be about? And it's not because it proves the most exotic answer immediately, but it opens a scientific question that should not be bullied out of existence. I think Dr. Villarreal, in my opinion, has shown the exact kind of courage that this field really needs more of. She's willing to look at uncomfortable data, and she is willing to bring the work into academic channels. Channels that oftentimes scoff at or even vilify this type of research, which to me has always been anti-scientific. I have never been a fan of that. Science should be open-minded. It should be grounded and it should be rational, but it should be open-minded. We don't know what we don't know. It's my favorite phrase of all time at this point. We don't know what we don't know. We arose from somewhere, our species. Here we are, living on Earth. And our only means of understanding the things around us, well, where does it come from? It comes from us. Everything's from a human perspective, the human hand. It was built by humans. It was designed by humans, engineered, all of it. And yet our ego gets in the way, and for some reason, we still think we just know everything sometimes. We think we have all of the answers. We leave no room for anything interesting. It's amazing sometimes to see the skeptical community, like the Michael Shermers of the world, for example, gleefully attempt to shoot down anything that could be deemed extraordinary. It's almost like they want life to suck. I swear, that it comes off that way. It really does. They want life to be boring. They want things to just work as they see it. Oh, you live, you die, and that's it. Bye. They want everything to be mundane and basically doom and gloom. Why that is, I'm not really sure. And they even ignore Dr. Villarreal's data. They don't even want to look at that because it upends the bullshit that they've been spewing for years. And you know what? I think that's a good segue. That's a good segue because there's one more person that I think we should be talking about today. You could probably take a wild guess at who's going to be coming up onto the stage now in the next image. There he is. Neil deGrasse Tyson. You guys know I don't really like doing segments like this. I don't like tearing people down or bashing them. I'm really not a fan of doing that. But sometimes you do have to say something when it doesn't sit right in your stomach. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Where do I even start with you, sir? I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but I think it has to be said. Neil is releasing a book about alien contact after years of mocking and ridiculing and minimizing and shitting on the UFO subject. And I find that incredibly difficult to stomach. And to be clear, I'm not saying he's unintelligent. He's not stupid. He's not. He's really not. He's obviously pretty smart. He knows a lot. He does. He really does. I remember watching him as a little kid before I realized that he was a disingenuous prick. He is capable of great work. We're not talking about his intellect. He has educated many people on astronomy, physics, and the beauty of the cosmos. And I do give him credit for that. Absolutely. And sometimes he can be very funny. I really do believe that. He has his moments. But that's not the issue here. The issue is posture. The issue is integrity. The issue is how people with large platforms treat witnesses, experiencers, researchers, pilots, witnesses, regular people, military personnel, everybody who have come forward to tell their story about having an anomalous encounter or having experienced something extraordinary, supernatural, preternatural, whatever it may be. Something that they just couldn't explain rationally. And for the longest time, you all know the posture from people like Tyson. It's just been ridicule first, curiosity second, if curiosity appears at all. The message has been, bring me the alien, bring me the body, bring me the spacecraft, otherwise stop wasting everyone's time. And now after the culture has shifted, after Congress is talking about this, after officials are using the language of UAP, after serious people have taken reputational risks, now suddenly, out of nowhere, alien contact is an acceptable subject for him to package and publish and promote and profit from. And I truthfully find that extremely disingenuous. And it pisses me off. You don't get to spend years treating the UFO community like a joke and then casually stroll into the alien contact conversation when it becomes commercially useful for yourself. As though you've been some great ambassador of open-minded scientific inquiry all along. I mean, it's bullshit. And this is where I think people make a mistake. They assume this is only about science, but it isn't. It's also social. It's cultural. It's about the way institutions and celebrity skeptics help create a permission structure for ridicule. It's been that way for a very long time. But now we're seeing the stigma die, thankfully. You know, when major public figures mock the subject, they do not only challenge bad claims, they create an atmosphere that we all have to live in where witnesses feel stupid. Experiencers end up feeling humiliated. You know, and serious researchers think twice about touching the topic at all. I was once shown a letter by Mr. Earl Grey, who sadly is not with us, Earl Grey Anderson, from a while back. It was when I was doing the older show with Ty on Total Disclosure. And it was a correspondence, I forget who it was with on the other side, but it was a correspondence between an individual and Carl Sagan. Privately, and I had heard this for years too, but then this was an actual interesting piece of affirming evidence. Carl Sagan believed we were apparently being visited. Didn't have any issue with the UFO subject personally. Now, and he was open-minded about it. He was rational and grounded, and he felt very differently about it privately as opposed to publicly. And at the time, it was difficult for someone like Carl Sagan to take a stance on the UFO topic in a public forum. The atmosphere was much more volatile, and you would be laughed off stage, essentially, and he didn't necessarily want to go through that. And I get it. You know, I get it. Things were different back then. So, Sagan is Neil deGrasse Tyson's mentor. So it makes me wonder, does Neil deGrasse Tyson actually find an interest in UFOs and has just been pretending all these years? Like, this is the issue. This is really the issue with you, Mr. Tyson. No one can tell what the hell you actually think or believe about this subject. You just did an about face. You did a complete 180 after years of just completely undermining any actual research into this subject, which, again, to me, is completely anti-scientific and should foundationally go against everything you supposedly believe in as a scientist, astronomer, physicist, and any of the scientific disciplines that exist. At their foundation, it's supposed to be the search for knowledge, the search for truth, the expansion of what we understand about everything. But you haven't demonstrated that. And over my dead fucking body, are you going to just pop up out of nowhere and write a book about alien contact? I'm not reading it. I'm not buying it. I'll go read an experiencer's book. I'll go buy a book from someone that stays consistent on this. And it's okay to change your mind. It's definitely okay. But typically when that occurs, there is a progression that happens, that people will see over the years, little by little. And that's the type of progression that we're seeing with the subject at large in the public sphere. You, though, sir, to be blunt, are full of shit. And that's about as much time as I want to spend on him. It had to be said, though. And like I said, I don't like doing segments like that. I really don't. But fuck him. I'm sorry. He's such a prick. And I'm just... As this subject progresses down the road, I guarantee you he's not going to be the last person that does this. You're going to see other skeptical minds, the Mick Wests, the Michael Shermers, when they're finally presented with something that they can no longer ignore. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to then try to align themselves as these ultimate experts on the UFO subject. Don't buy it. Don't fall for it, because it's not real. It's disingenuous. Pay attention to the people that have actually been doing this for years in good faith, that are and again, willing to debunk when needed. But I think it's become pretty obvious who the bad actors are at this point. And I've mentioned it before. I have seen with my eyes, actual legitimate evidence of some of these individuals, won't name them, being paid to spew this crap out onto the internet. You could probably guess. Shouldn't be hard. Now, I obviously came prepared with a few things. I am going to play a video clip that I did post over on my X, but it definitely needs to be discussed. Let's do another little check in the chat. Appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you so much. Let's see, show comments on stage. There we go. We can. Yeah, and well, he might downplay the topic, but he is trying to, I guess, cash in when the moment's right. You know, he kind of reminds me of like a crypto trader. You know, it's just like, when do you pull out? When do you cash in? That's what he's doing. In defense of myself, I've been doing the same thing from the start. I haven't changed anything. I'm still me, still have the same opinions. And I have had my own experiences, so I know that this is real. So I'm blessed with that. And a lot of other people are in that same boat with me. And we've been saying this for years, but nobody wanted to listen. But now they're listening, thankfully. So there was an event the other night I'm not really sure where it took place, but it was some sort of live event. And Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp were there. Shout out to Jeremy and George. And they had Dylan Borland on stage. And Dylan Borland, when he delivered his testimony, it was one of the most powerful moments in ufology history, in my opinion. He really felt like he was speaking from the depths of his soul. It really sounded like he meant every word that came out of his mouth. So they had this event the other night, and I want to play this clip for you guys, and then we'll discuss it after it is done playing. Let's throw it up. Just make sure the volume's all the way uppity up. It's nice that they've made some good additions to StreamYard, so that's fantastic.
Okay, so as a journalist, so George and I have been exposed to certain things, and here's the deal tonight. I talked with our lawyer in the hotel right before we came here. I was told by an ODNI agent that Dylan testified to ICIG, the police of the intelligence agencies, that there is a UFO program, and it's called Rubik's Cube. That's what he said. That's what I heard.
Look at his reaction.
ODNI, which they shouldn't be calling me and telling me what was described in the skiff, should they? Right. So I'm a journalist, so I listen. And I am testifying to you, believe me or not, I'm a bearded tattoo journalist with a great mentor. You don't need to believe me. Project Rubik's Cube. Dylan, I'm not even looking at you. Have you ever testified to ICIG about a UAP program containing UAP called Project Rubik's Cube?
Let me collect my thoughts. I am not in a skiff. I am not going to jail. I can neither confirm or deny, but if you want me to answer that question, as for amnesty for the whistleblowers, as Congress and the executive branch should give it to us, and I'll answer that question gladly.
Wow. Every time I see that clip, it's pretty intense. I think I may have to some of you, might be an unpopular take about Jeremy and George, but I I've been looking at the entire body of work that they've submitted to the public at this point. And I really think that Jeremy, especially Jeremy, he gets a bad rap. Everybody dresses differently. Everybody looks different. Some of us, I have a goatee right now. I had a beard this morning, right? Like, I don't have any tattoos. I should. I want some. I don't know why I've waited so long, but I am solely focused on the information being presented. And I understand. I was going through Reddit the other day. People were talking about Sleeping Dog. And people get mad when a documentary gets made like that, but you have to remember too, like, people have to eat, people have to eat. We live in a capitalistic society where we have to make money. You think I would be going out and doing what I'm doing on the daily at my day job for funsies? I would not be doing that. I hate it. I hate it. It's going to be like 97 degrees all week. It's dangerous. It sucks. It's painful. It feels like torture. It's physical torture. I would much rather be doing what they're doing all the time. And I do believe that I'm on that road. And along the way, I am going to do my absolute best to create things that benefit all of you, whether it be a tool, anything, something to give back to you guys. I'm developing something right now, learning how to code, sort of, and trying to create a research tool that people will be able to use personally and take advantage of. But got to understand, like, when you put in time and effort to create something, you know, there does need to be some kind of return on that if you dedicate that much time to it. Sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it's emotional, social, etc. But I mean, that's the nature of the world that we live in. I've always wanted to make documentaries. It's just an urge that I have. And if you're going to take the time to sit and edit, just all of the work that goes into that, the amount of money that gets spent in creating something that is a top tier film, professional quality, all of that, I can tell you just from what Digby's been doing out in the UK, just on his own for the Digital ID documentary, the equipment alone costs more than, you know, like my first 3 cars that I bought in my life. Like, it's not cheap. And things are very expensive right now, unfortunately, for a lot of reasons. So that's part of it too. So I think about that as a content creator and a researcher. And it's like, yeah, we do want to make money because that money can go back into doing this. It's always been that way. And this Rubik's Cube situation, I'm going to have to word this one carefully. As many of you know, I have 2 specific private contacts, sources that I've been speaking to for a couple of years. Some of the information that they've shared with me has made it into some of my videos. The main one is the Fear of the Secret Keepers. That's where some of the weirder stuff is in that. The Sunday that I put that out on, I will never forget this. I had a call with that individual over the week to figure out what I could put in the video and what I could not. I tried to exemplify being someone that can be trusted. If someone comes to me with information and says you can share it, then I can share it. If they say please don't, I won't. I don't burn sources. It's just, this is just how I operate. Because when you don't burn sources, if you treat your sources with the respect that they are requesting, you get more sources, you get more people that are willing to talk to you, and then you're able to paint a picture that you can then bring out to the public. This is complicated. It's very nuanced when it comes to files and video clips. I had a conversation with one of the sources that I have a couple days ago, before this whole Rubik's Cube thing went out into the public. And I will just say that that individual and I had a conversation that may have related to that, is what I will say. But we had a really in-depth conversation about the nature of what Jeremy's dealing with, George, and others. We had a really good conversation about that. I see comments that are shitting on them, like, why don't you just release this? Why don't you just release that? And I get the frustration. But when you ask that question, you have to understand there really is a good, legitimate answer to that. And I'm going to die on this hill, I promise you. Again, I'm not kissing anyone's ass here. I'm not being a fanboy or anything like that. I've always liked George. I have no issues with Jeremy. They both follow me. We've never done any work together, personally. But, you know, we've interacted. And they've always been really nice to me. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that from anybody. But there is so much at stake when it comes to materials that are leaked or collected. Jeremy and George aren't the ones leaking. It's being leaked to them, and being in the position of a journalist, again, you're playing by a different set of rules. And a really good example, so Jeremy went on Area 52 with my friend Chris Ramsey, who is amazing, just a great guy. Shout out to Chris, doing tremendous work, always just kicking ass. And it was a really, really good, thoughtful explanation, I thought, coming out of Jeremy. So it's not going to be word for word, obviously, but this is sort of how I absorbed the information. Imagine we have a satellite system or a drone that is doing video surveillance of a Russian asset, okay, as an example, an adversarial Russian asset. And the Russians are not aware of the fact that we have that. They don't know. They don't know that we can see them from that particular angle. And in the midst of that, we, the United States military, record an encounter with a UFO or a UAP, whatever term you'd like to use. Well, if you release that footage, if you just blatantly throw that out into the public, you are now revealing a strategic asset of the United States military to the Russians. One that they were unaware of. They didn't know that they were being spied on from that particular angle. That is a national security issue. It is. It falls under that. It really does. And again, the national security excuse gets used a lot in other places where it should not be used. But in this particular example, it is fair. It is absolutely fair. So if someone from the United States military or the intelligence community sends me a file, and it's a video, photos, whatever it may be, radar returns, anything, first thing I need to do is vet. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit. I got to make sure that this is legitimate and that the person that I am speaking with is who they say they are. That is going to take a little bit because I have friends, I have good connections for that I can use and make that determination. I've done it before where we have outed somebody before as just, I don't know, someone being ridiculous and they were bored and decided to play a game with us, and it didn't last very long. After that, you then have to explore the chain of custody that this material is coming from. What needs to be covered up in the video? Because there's usually data that you'll see on the sides of the video. And you have telemetry, location. There's a lot of... And I don't really personally know every last little thing, that I'm seeing. I'm not, a military super expert or any, you know what I mean? Like I'm not as well versed at the data that's being displayed on the screen as some other people are. Like Merrick, like he's really good with that. So you have that aspect of it. Okay. So, I mean, there is just a laundry list of things that you have to take into consideration. The source protection. You're dealing with real human beings. The metadata. Some of these files may inherently reveal who leaked it. That person has a family. That person has a pension. That person has clearances. That person has a career, but they wanted to do the right thing. And they took a risk in doing the right thing. It's frustrating. Honestly, it's frustrating. I have been sent things before that weren't nearly as complex as like what Jeremy and George have been receiving. Classification, legal exposure, verification issues, journalistic strategy, consent and agreement, personal human consequences. I mean, there's so much to be considered. So if someone is sent files, if they are doing this responsibly, the last thing they should do, if they're going to be following these guidelines, is receive that video and then just throw it out into the public. Because then you're going to create a shitstorm. You're going to put whistleblowers in danger. People that really have put their neck out to try to get this information out into the public sphere. And we don't want that. I don't want Dylan Borland to go to jail. I don't want David Grush to get in prison for something. Matthew Brown. I don't want to see any of that. I have respect for these guys. I really do. You know, and it's a whole nother conversation to be discussed about, well, is this a psyop and who are these people? I'll be honest with you. I don't think you're seeing a psyop. I think you're seeing an attempt at narrative control as the information is being released. That's what I think is going on in my heart of hearts, truthfully. And I'm not trying to give anybody grief out here that does think this entire thing is a psyop. I'm not. You're allowed to hold that opinion. I respect it. It's not a big deal because at the end of the day, you want what I want and I want what you want, and that's the truth. It's really just that simple. That's all we're really looking for here. But we have to work together. We absolutely have to work together. And if we don't, we're going to fail. I personally believe that Jeremy and George are going about this the best way that they can. That may not be a popular opinion to some people. And I understand. Look, I see everything that you see. And it's like, I know, oh, well, I know that that's going to rub that type of person the wrong way. But I see the forest for the trees, and I also see the trees for the forest. I've got the whole view. I've got the macro and the micro. I have done a lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of listening, a lot of paying attention. And I can tell you for a fact that releasing information to the public, materials that comes from the United States military, is not a simple task. It is not. It is complicated. It is nuanced. It is dangerous. They are looking to trip you up at every little step. There is a trap set and ready everywhere you go. You can't go about it willy-nilly. You will end up in jail. And personally, I don't really want to go to jail. I kind of like life outside of jail. I don't want to be stuck in a box where I can literally like make no impact on anything, have no influence on anything other than, you know, a short, you know, 6x10 space or whatever it may be. I don't want to live that life. Having access to files and videos, names and leads, documents, it doesn't automatically mean that those materials can be responsibly dumped online at the exact moment that they're obtained. It doesn't work that way. That's not how serious research works. Now, if you're looking for catastrophic disclosure, and you're just like a UFO cowboy or whatever and decide, fuck it, just gonna throw caution to the wind and just go for it, you know, you go ahead. That's your risk. You know, that's your risk. But you got to understand too that in this fight, to get this all out and to get the public and the citizens to understand what's really happening, that going about it that way may harm the process. It could undermine the entire thing. You know, there's a lot of legal obstacles that have been set in place in order to fight against people like me, fight against people like Jeremy, George, Astral, Red Panda, anybody out here that I can think of that puts any type of information out that they receive. It's not a cakewalk. It's not. You know, if you really sat just, and this is where I'll end with this particular topic. Just use your brain for a few, right? And sit down and get a pen and do a list of pros and cons. You're sent a file with like smoking gun evidence, or even just good evidence. Let's just go with good evidence, like really good evidence. It's a good video clip. It's clear. Take into consideration all of these risks that I just mentioned to you, and understand that each one of those risks as a step in the ladder you have to then go through each one of them as their own process, and then they link into each other as well. And it's like, yeah, it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a year. Maybe months. Rarely weeks. That's what we're dealing with, unfortunately. And I don't want people to blame the researchers for that. You can blame the secret keepers for that. The gatekeepers, the ones that have set up this cover-up that's been around for decades at this point. You can thank them for that. And then the ones who inherited it, well, probably gonna be some difference of opinions on that, right? Crash happens in 47. There's bodies craft from another dimension, wherever it may have come from. There's the cover-up is put into place, and then it gets passed down through generation to generation to generation. We are now several generations removed from those individuals that first set that into motion, and it was set into motion when the world was a very different place as well. You obviously have the overarching fears of the Cold War. Big deal at the time. My mom has talked about it, how much she feared the Russians and nuclear war when she was a little girl, and would have nightmares about the Russians, the Soviets, showing up and literally pulling her out of bed and just like taking her away from her parents. Like, it scared people back then. It really did. So, you now have technology, materials of an extraordinary nature in your possession. And it's in the possession of the United States military. And then it gets sent off to private contractors. You can't send them FOIA requests. Anytime anything has radiation associated with it, the Department of Energy can use their powers. I mean, you see the scaffolding here, right? Go watch some of the stuff that UAP Gerb has done on this. Guy's amazing. He's done amazing research in outlining the spider web that has been constructed to obfuscate and completely blanket this from public view. But now it's coming out. I don't know how much longer this is going to last, as far as this back and forth game of, well, a little bit gets released, we have a conversation, and then the conversation gets a little bit weirder and just a little bit crazier, a little bit, like just little by little, it's a slow drip. I can even remember, and some of you may recall, a website called AboveTopSecret.com. Had a bunch of forums. Like, for that was like my original sort of UFO community. I didn't post on it too much. I did more lurking than anything. And I was on there at a really young age too, like 10, 11 years old. There's a lot of websites that I still end up on to this day that, funny enough, have been around for like 20, 25 years. And they're still going, thankfully. I remember making a post, I believe I think it was like 2014, actually. So this is prior to the New York Times article. I had no idea who Elizondo was, Leslie Keane. None of that had happened yet. I was much more of a serious personal researcher for my own personal reasons. I really wasn't interacting with the broader community like I am now. I kept to myself mostly. And I remember making a post and suggesting that if the government, the military, the powers that be, those that have this information, that are privy to it, have all the access, or even partial access, really, since it's so compartmentalized, I suggested that if they were to finally decide enough is enough, or at least some people decided enough was enough, or, wanted to make an attempt at getting this out to the world, that it would most likely be done in a slow motion process, slow drip, little by little, for acclimation. And I always compared it to getting into a really cold pool on a summer day. A day like today, it's like, 93 degrees outside, right? You got the pool. You have two ways you can get into the pool. You could jump in and take that, that cold shock to your system, or come over to the steps into the pool. You dip your toes and your feet and your legs in there for a little bit. And then you get down waist deep and you're like, woo, okay, all right, we're getting used to it. And then next thing you know, you're up to your shoulders. And before you know it, you're swimming back and forth and you're comfortable. Responsibly speaking, that's always what I thought they would decide to do. And if you zoom out and you drown out all the noise, it's kind of what it looks like they're doing. I know a lot of times people bring this up as, well, oh, they're using the UFO thing as a distraction. It's like, nah, I don't buy that one. You're not going to use something that they've been trying to distract from something else. That just never added up to me personally. And I mean, this has been going on for years now. We marked 2017 as the start of this era, so to speak, and then here we are. I mean, there's no need to distract from other things, because those things are already being distracted from by other things, and they don't need the UFO cover up for that. They have other means that are available to them at this point. But no money in this manner, not for me at least, but I do it for fun. Otherwise, it would stress me so much. Yeah, well, so before I end the show, I'll kind of peek into the chat here. I see Jad was here. What's up, Jad? Love you, dude. Kiwi TJ says Rubik's Cube. Yeah, definitely Rubik's Cube. Absolutely. I solved one in my lifetime, which I'm proud of. I was happy to have done that. Took me a little bit. I'm not like those kids that do it blindfolded and like 6 seconds. That's beyond me. I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm not solving a Rubik's Cube in 6 seconds. That's not happening. So when it comes to actual like making money in the UFO topic, it's not that I don't even look at it as like making money off of UFOs per se. It's like there are other factors involved. It's okay, I'm an online personality with a certain level of visibility. I do my best to uplift and support other people, sharing their work, telling them, hey, good job. This was oh man, great article, good video. And I mean it when I say that. I really do. When I take the time to do that, I really that's genuine. And I'm happy to see it. Getting information out and news out in a timely fashion to the best of my ability, obviously, I guess you could say is providing a service to people to some degree. Offering content that is exclusive to people that subscribe to you. Not that you're paywalling, information that should belong to everybody, but like specialty stuff. You got that. Content creation in of itself, you're providing entertainment to a degree, even though it contains factual and informative data. It's still entertainment. If I had to, but you put a lot of work. I get, yeah, it is risky. You can make money doing this, but again, for me, I feel like I could have easily, if I really wanted to, probably been further down the line than I even am now if I had like sold my soul. Because I see so many people, it's like they'll post video clips that are just clearly CGI, just clearly dog shit, 10,000 views, and it's like, what? How? Like, how are people hitting the like button on that? It's like, that's gotta be, there's just bots all over the place. It's crazy, I always do my best when I post something, I leave it up to interpretation. I'm like, okay, here's this video clip. Like, there was just something that just got posted like 2 days ago from the Middle East of just like something hovering in the air. I didn't really love the video clip because it had like watermarks all over it and shit, and other people were posting it already, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave this one alone. It's weird. It's definitely weird. I don't know what it is. But that's the important part. I'm not declaring that it's an alien spacecraft or a probe or it's from a non-human intelligence. I have no idea what it is. It is unidentified. If I'm going to make a declaration, you will see it. I will say it. Like, oh, here's this video clip of what I sincerely believe to be an anomalous object under control of a non-human intelligence. I'm very, very specific and very clear when I share things. Or, some people were even giving me a little bit of grief when I was talking about the 8-pointed star. It's like, yeah, I'm very much aware of the fact that that's probably not the actual morphology of the object for a number of different reasons. I just thought it was ironic that my dad went out and got my mom jewelry that happened to look just like it. It was coincidence. It was interesting. Because there's been a lot of these weird, like, little ironies that have been happening around me, these synchronicities, like a lot of them, and I shared a few of them. It's like, people need to slow down a little bit. We're all moving way too fast. Myself included, too, though. Like, I'm always in a sprint. Everybody needs to slow down. When you see a post, read it. Like, read it. Don't read the first word, the third word, and then the last word, and then develop your opinion after that. You're missing a lot. Read the post. Read the whole thing. Or you're probably going to end up in an argument with somebody when it doesn't even need to happen. It's not worth it. And be good to people, please. There's just way too much. There's so much negativity and fighting and people just getting shitty with one another. It's not worth it, man. It's not. Life's too short. Be good to one another. I say it all the time. I just, and that's why, again, it's like, there's still that little part of me that sort of feels just a tiny bit bad that I had to say the things that I had to say about, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson. But there's a line that I have, and when you cross it, I'm going to say something. And he crossed it. And I didn't like it, so I'm going to say it. Well, ladies and gents, I got to get rolling. I have things to do around the house. Now that it's going to probably start cooling off in a little bit, I would like to finish mowing the lawn so that the rest of my family can relax and not have to do any of that crap. I do not let my parents mow the lawn. I just don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. They're in their 60s and they should be able to relax. Shout out to any of my family that may be watching, because I know some of them pop in. They don't necessarily say anything in the chat. Sometimes my aunt sees when I'm live. My Aunt Sandy, love you. I am definitely going to be doing the show on a much more regular basis now. Now, please keep in mind, when it comes to the live show and to video releases at large, it may not always be the same day every week. I'll give you a heads up. I will give you a heads up before I go live. I will make sure that I make a post on X and say, hey, I'm going to be doing the show today at this time. Sometimes the time might change because my life is crazy sometimes. Scheduling is very difficult. Same goes for interviews. I'm going to do those as I can. Sometimes they might be live. Sometimes they might be pre-recorded depending on the schedule of the person or whatever their wishes are for our interaction. Sometimes they don't like being live and sometimes they'd rather do it that way. Less pressure on them. Totally get it. I will respect that. But I will give you a heads up. If I'm putting a video out, it could be on any day at any given time. I will tell you before it comes out. Same thing with the live show. Same thing with interviews. But Anomalous is back and it's staying. It's not going anywhere. And yes, there will be times when Digby is here. And I'm going to be bringing in other co-hosts, just for fun. Because I really like having people here with me because I think the information flows really well that way. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I have a lot of new followers recently. I gained like a lot of followers over the last week. If you're one of those people that really doesn't know me that well and hasn't been here for all that long, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to what I had to say and what I'm thinking. I really appreciate it. Make sure you are following me on X. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube at Cortex Zero, at Anompod on YouTube, and obviously on X as well. As the weeks progress, the show will probably become a little bit more intricate because I'm going to play around with some of the tools that are in here. They've added a lot into StreamYard. So I'm going to, mess around graphically and see what I can come up with. And I would love to have guests on for the show live as well. I've done interviews with some amazing people over the last couple of years, so we're just going to pick right back up where we left off. Please be good to one another. Please stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And I'm going to give you a little tip. See, I've been doing this lately, and it's kind of interesting how it's been affecting my daily life, actually. When you go to bed, when you're ready to go to sleep, because a lot of us have our cell phones when we're sleeping. I'm one of them. I'm guilty of it. But when you're really ready to go to sleep and close your eyes and wind down, shut whatever video you're watching off. If you want to have music on, that's fine. Something relaxing or like nature sounds, thunderstorm, whatever it may be. That's cool too. You can do that. But visualize something that you really want. Visualize maybe having a good day the next day. Visualize being in a good mood. Visualize success. Visualize positivity for other people as well. I'm telling you, there is something really, really powerful about mental visualization that I don't think human beings as a whole really understand yet, but I can feel it in my bones that there is something there when it comes to that. I remember reading to a book from a gentleman named Dr. Joe Dispenza. I haven't finished the whole book, but I got to get back to it, and I'd like to reread it as well and really get more out of it. My life was really crazy at the time when I was reading it, though. It's called Becoming Supernatural. It's a really, really interesting book. It goes, into meditation, just a lot of modern perspectives on, you could say, spiritual practices. And I firmly believe in the power of the mind, and I firmly believe that we have souls, non-local consciousness. We are energetic something, call us spirits, whatever it might be, and we're here in these bodies having this experience split away from the unified whole. That's what I really think. It makes the most sense to me. And when you dig into other ancient civilizations and cultures and traditions, it sure as hell seems that way too. I'm going off on a tangent. I have a habit of doing that. I am so sorry. It's just what I do, man. It's that ADHD brain of mine. Visualize something positive when you go to bed tonight. And keep doing it. Do it 3 days in a row and watch what happens. Come back and tell me how it affected your week. We will see each other again very soon. I've got a couple other posts to make tonight too on X. And if anything else interesting pops up, try to get it out to you guys. But I'll be outside for the next couple hours, finishing the yard, the weed whacking, all of the fun stuff that will undoubtedly in some way set off my allergies, which is why my voice sounds the way it does. It's just that time of year. Take care, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really love you guys. I am Tom Thompson. You have been watching Anomalous. I will see you next time. Later. And please, please, please remember, disclosure is a process. It is not an event. We're getting there. Stay positive. Please stay positive. think positive. Don't waste and spend your energy on being negative. I promise you, I believe in that. Stay positive. Like, literally drill it into your brains. I promise you it will make a difference, especially if there are more of us thinking and feeling that way. Take care. See you next time.